Tonight is the Shabbat of Shabbatot. Our tradition elevates Yom Kippur, and we follow the lead. Many of us who usually will focus more on Judaism's morals than its rituals, nevertheless follow Yom Kippur's observances. Yet Yom Kippur is only Yom Kippur in relationship to Shabbat. It relies on our appreciation of the weekly rhythm, V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. The words we just heard sung mean, the people of Israel shall keep Shabbat. However, I'm not sure if you are like me, but being told that Jews keep Shabbat, so therefore do it, has never quite worked for me. I grew up without any distinction between the days of the week and Saturday, except, of course, that I didn't have to go to school on Saturday morning so I could watch cartoons. As Rachel and I experimented with our Shabbat practices, I could not fall back on memory or on habit to make it happen. We had to create new expectations and evaluate what we gained by creating regular observances. Along the way, it was too easy to forget to do something, even if we valued it. It took many years for our desires to become expectations, and then our expectations to become habits, and then our habits to become mitzvot, and then for our mitzvot to be tested by our kids. If I come for our Shabbat dinner, which I know we always have, can you drive my band to a gig later on tonight? Can Shabbat dinner be done sooner? I get that we don't watch TV, but how about YouTube on my phone? Even if we are inspired to think about what we can gain from a true day of rest, it can be a challenge. It can be a challenge among non-Orthodox Jews to find a community to celebrate Shabbat with on a regular basis. We are surrounded by so many in our neighborhoods or circles of friends who are not observing Shabbat, either because they are not Jewish or they are, and it is not their desire or practice. Saturday is just another day of the weekend. And yet, many at Mount Zion have found Shabbat rhythms that work. Some will light Shabbat candles no matter what else is done or not done. Some will have challah every Friday night. Some will have their Shabbat dinner with friends or family, saying some or all of the blessings. Others will attend services Friday night or Saturday morning or both. Some keep the entire day from Friday night to Saturday night with Shabbat dinners, services, reading and study, relaxed time with friends and family, ending with Havdalah. Others will not check email. Some come to a 1-hour tour study at Mount Zion on Shabbat morning, and that is their Shabbat observance. Some will go on long walks with the intention of bringing Shabbat rest into their day. Shabbat need not be an all or nothing proposition. The only question is whether your own observance is where you want it to be. I've been teaching for many years now a class for married and engaged couples called Creating a Jewish Home. During our session on Shabbat, couples will fill out a worksheet just for themselves, asking what practices they want to take on in the next month or so, and then in a year or so, and then imagining far into the future. Our Shabbat practices may change. Will we be intentional about them? And if you have found practices that you want to keep, then try not to let 2 Shabbatot go by without doing them. And if you do not keep your intentions, say to yourself, I'll do it next Shabbat. Keep your thoughts positive, and the changes you desire can become possible. On Rosh Hashanah, we gave every household of Mount Zion a book, A Day Apart, Shabbat at Home. If you had a chance to open to its first few pages, there was a small collection of reflections, including one from Shimon Peres of blessed memory, and this one from Rabbi Larry Hoffman. To moderns, Shabbat is opportunity for meaning, a moment in time to forge connections and to belong. If Jews will not keep Shabbat on the grounds that they are commanded to do so, perhaps they will do so because keeping Shabbat will provide their otherwise disconnected lives with meaning.
Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
Cantor Strauss-Klein is singing Vishamru, which we sing every Shabbat. The text is from Exodus chapter 31, written in the context of the barn-raising scene, the Israelites building together the tabernacle, the Mishkan, and learning even in their excitement to keep on going, they need to stop and rest one day in 7. And the tune, that lovely tune, is by Shlomo Carlebach, which I find so evocative. Carlebach is considered to be one of the foremost Jewish religious songwriters of the 20th century. I first heard this version of Vishamru while my family and I lived in Israel for our first sabbatical. And I know that Cantor Strauss-Klein also fell in love with the tune when she lived there for her first year of Hebrew Union College. To celebrate Shabbat in Israel is so easy. And as holy as Carlebach's melody makes us feel, everything grinds to a halt in Jerusalem with the sound of a siren. Can you imagine it? Or if you've heard it, you can remember it. You are supported in observing Shabbat because it is the norm. Everyone wishes you a Shabbat Shalom. So now, if you would, remember a Shabbat moment or experience any time in your life that makes you smile. What was it that worked or felt so good? And if you can't find a memory quickly, what do you desire in order to put aside the pressures of the week? Can you imagine making what you remember or desire happen on Shabbat in some way? And listen now to the translation of the second phrase of the Vishamru, which we just heard. La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Observing Shabbat throughout the ages, a covenant for all time. It is remarkable that a revolutionary practice some 3,000 years ago, taking one day off in 7, has persisted. A covenant for all time. It was a firm believer in the cultural heritage of Judaism, not its religious one, who coined one of the most helpful quotations about Shabbat. Echad Ha'am said only a century ago, more than the Jewish people has kept the Sabbath has kept the Jewish people. When Echad Ha'am said the Sabbath has kept the Jews, he was arguing that non-Orthodox Jews should feel value in recognizing Shabbat even in a minimal way so that we would retain Jewish identity. Shabbat observance is the key to our future and the passing of our traditions from person to person, community to community, parent to child. It is a beautiful thing. And that is why we have made it a focus for this year at Mount Zion. It is a sign for all time between me and the Jewish people. So once two Jews were bragging about their respective rebbes. "See here," one said, "it happened that my Rebbe was driving along in his wagon when a terrible storm appeared. What did he do? He stretched out his hands in prayer, and behold, on the left there was darkness and rain, and on the right there was darkness and rain, but right in the middle it was sunshine all the way home." "You call that a miracle?" the other Chassid said. "It happened once to my Rebbe, that he was in his wagon on a Friday afternoon, and he saw that the sun was going down. He knew that Shabbat would begin before he could reach the shtetl. So he would be desecrating Shabbat if he kept going. So he raised his hands and he stretched out his prayers, and lo and behold, a miracle. On the left, it was Shabbat, and on the right, it was Shabbat. But in the middle, it was simply Friday, all the way home." A miracle. I imagine, by the way, that the Rebbe in that story was Gene Wilder, of blessed memory. If you know the scene from the movie Frisco Kid, Wilder plays the rabbi who does not ride on Shabbat. Sometimes you just want to say Shabbos, that old Ashkenazic sound, Shabbos. It is late on Saturday afternoon. The sun is low in the sky. Everyone is anxious to go. So he bends down. And a miracle, the sun has set. This sense of humor, even for those who want clear boundaries, shows that we can be easy on ourselves. We may have the best of intentions, but life does not always work out the way we plan. Sometimes we need to be creative and flexible in our observances. A sense of humor and forgiveness can be helpful in making Shabbat happen for you and your families, and you and your friends. At times, our work will make it hard to have a home-cooked meal or a well-set table, so you'll order food in and improvise. At times, you'll forget to get a challah, so you'll say motzi over whatever bread you have around. And when we have young kids around, we may get together with friends or other family on Shabbat day instead of Friday night. We can be kind to ourselves, and we can find ways to make Shabbat special. Both can happen.
Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz.
For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. This phrase connects us directly to our myth of creation. In 6 days the world was created, and on the seventh God rested. It is one of the two reasons the Torah gives for observing Shabbat. The other is a message of justice, that we were slaves in Egypt, so therefore we should give a break, a true rest to all who work for us for 1 day out of 7. Our 2 candles on Shabbat remind us of these 2 reasons. And the creation reason is one of awe. We should literally get outside in nature and look at the heavens and the earth. And in the words of Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, turn on Shabbat from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. Our myth of creation, as told in Genesis in 6 days, is not meant to be taken literally. It developed during the Babylonian exile in the 6th century BCE and gives us a beautiful message of purpose and partnership. Life can be good, and we are responsible for this world in partnership with God. There is something mysterious about life no matter how much science teaches us. Religion offers us the why we are created, while science tells us the how we are created. And on Shabbat, this purpose comes from the poetic imaginings of creation. I do not believe you can truly be in awe of life and nature and not somehow feel responsible. One of the implications of our myth of creation is beautiful and necessary. We must be committed to reversing, as much as humanly possible, the impact of climate change. Even as we enjoy nature on Shabbat, we can think about what we can do the rest of the week to keep our planet safe. As a reminder of this connection, we will be making a small change in our liturgy at Mount Zion, starting during these high holy days. We will restore a traditional language in the second prayer of the Tefillah. You might have heard it tonight, our standing prayer, to intimate this connection between God and nature, adding the words, Morid Hatal, you rain dew upon us. Nature and our understanding of creation, our prayers and our actions are all linked.
Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash.
And on the seventh day, God rested and was refreshed. Heschel teaches us time is like a wasteland. It has grandeur but no beauty. Its strange, frightful power is always feared but rarely cheered. Then we arrive at the seventh day, and Shabbat is endowed with a felicity which enraptures the soul, which guides us into our thoughts with a healing sympathy. It is a day in which hours do not oust one another. It is a day that can soothe all sadness away. Vayinafash, God was refreshed. The word nefesh, soul, is the root. Vayinafash. Literally, God was resouled. Or according to our tradition, God imbued creation with a realm of spirituality. Or, according to Arthur Waskow, it should be translated as, God said, phew. For us to say, phew, is about letting go. Rabbi Lawrence Kushner wrote this helpful prayer to be said Friday nights before lighting the candles, one that has become my own tradition. All my jobs, tasks, and work, whether they are done or not, I hereby declare that they are done. I reject their claim on me. I deny their existence. For 6 days I have tried with all my energy to complete my world. Now, Erev Shabbat, I realize that another week has come and gone, but that I have not finished. It's not perfect, but I worked hard and did a pretty good job. As we let go of the week, a statement of Reformed Jewish principles suggests that we imagine Shabbat not in what we do not do, but in what we do do. Shabbat calls us to bring our highest moral values to our daily labor and to culminate the work week with Kedusha, holiness, Menucha, rest, and Oneg, joy. So what will it be for you? It is never, never too late to start something or add a new layer to one's practice. It is never too small a change to make a difference. I won't rehearse all the science about why resting is needed for our health, or all the social science about the need for society to slow down in our fast-paced technological age. Making any moment in Shabbat a cathedral in time is adding holiness Any Shabbat rest, menucha, which is much deeper than having a Shabbat nap, allows for relationships, renewal, recreation, recreation. Eating good food, such as the desserts after services, which we have come to call oneg, can be a great joy. Each of us may have different practices that bring us to holiness, rest, and joy. My greatest oneg, truly my greatest joy, related to Shabbat, is connected to what Rachel and I created quite literally, our children. As Rachel and I made choices about what we would do for our Shabbat practice, we included the traditional parents' prayer, the blessing that we say to our kids. No matter what was going on, the emotions, the dramas of the week, sometimes the arguments, never, literally, never was there a Shabbat where we didn't look into our children's eyes, preparing to bless them, where it didn't all melt away. It never ceases to amaze me in awe that our kids, and each one of the three so different, every Shabbat yearned for that moment, that connection, that affirmation that there is love and blessing in this world. Even if they were ready to leave as soon as dinner was over, that moment was an island in time when our eyes locked and we said the 3,000-year-old words of blessing. The words in some ways were superfluous. It was about the moment of holiness. When Aiden called from college for his blessing on his first Friday away, I knew that there was nothing more powerful, more connective, and more sweet. It takes effort. It won't happen without intention. It takes willpower in a world where we keep making everything easier. As we find our own way to give Shabbat a chance, connecting to creation and to holiness, rest, and joy, I invite you to join now in the words that we've heard sung, page 44 in your prayer books, as we sing Karl Bach's ethereal melody for keeping Shabbat.